Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.
Plans for a government homeless shelter at the old legislature building on Hessler Street were killed after Governor Lou Leon Guerrero wrote to the Department of Interior asking to, quote, remove the homeless component of the project to utilize the property for essential government functions. The building, but not the land it sits on, was recently bought by GovGuam using $2.5 million in DOI funds. Plans for a homeless shelter in Hagatna were initiated during former Governor Eddie Calvo's administration, but Governor Leon Guerrero wrote to DOI asking to remove the shelter plans because they didn't align with her plans to, quote, revitalize our capital of Hagatna. I am firmly committed to once again seeing Hagatna as our island's center for culture, arts, and government. Bureau of Budget and Management Research Director Lester Carlson tells KUAM the governor has taken the lead on this project.
She just really thinks that it's a wonderful idea to co-locate all these agencies. And, she's basically now this is really truly her project. Initially, there was an idea that after working hours, the session hall area would be utilized for secure sleeping, for homeless people. That idea, we rethought that idea. The governor's putting together a more comprehensive homeless plan to address island-wide needs as opposed to just in Hagatna.
According to Carlson, the Guam Ethics Commission, the Hagatna Revitalization and Redevelopment Authority, and Veterans Affairs will now join other GovGuam agencies, including the Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disabilities, the Guam Developmental Disabilities Council, and the Department of Labor's American Jobs Center, taking up spaces at the newly bought old legislature building. And Carlson tells KUAM a homeless shelter just wasn't feasible for this administration.
It had logistical issues associated with it. You would have, ongoing governmental functions from 8 to 5, and then everybody would clear out. Then you'd have to, have the session hall set up. A lot of rules, no alcohol, no smoking, no spitting. It seemed like it was logistically, it was probably a little bit more than we could possibly chew. Bulk of the homeless people, are actually up in the north. So we were unable to secure that grant, but we're still looking at trying to be able to come up with the plan and then, of course, the funding to be able to meaningfully address homelessness on Guam.
But Angelina Lepay, head of the Guam Homeless Coalition, disagrees with Carlson's statements and said the coalition was totally on board when they were approached by the last administration with plans for a drop-in shelter in Hagatna.
Any sort of shelter, no matter how big or small it is, if we can give these people a place to stay for the night, that would be really helpful for them.
Instead, while DOI already approved money for a shelter, that money was reprogrammed, and now the governor is asking Interior for $1.5 million more to build a homeless shelter in the north. That request hasn't been approved yet. Meanwhile, Lepay says Hagatna's homeless are in dire need of help right now.
If you're looking at Hagatna and speaking specifically of Hagatna, all the people that we identify in Hagatna are street homeless. They're not living in substandard housing. These are people that we find at the beaches, at the parks, under the bridge, So definitely that's showing that there's a need, that Hagatna has been on the top.
Lepay says there are more homeless in the north, but those homeless, for the most part, live in substandard housing, while Dedido and Hagatna have high numbers of street homeless, people who actually live on the streets. And while Carlson said the governor is coming up with a comprehensive homeless plan, Lepay said there's no need to wait.
We have the data over the years that we've been doing this point in time count, and you can look at it and see the trends.
While there is a long-term homeless shelter in Guma, San Jose in the north, Lepay says asking Hagatna homeless to go all the way up north with little to no resources is a lot to ask, especially since space at that shelter is hard to come by.
They also have a certain number of beds available for 24-hour drop-ins. Those are always full.
While reprogramming the use of the old legislature building won't benefit the capital's homeless population, Carlson maintains GovGuam got a sweet deal.
It's a wonderful deal. I mean, it's $2.5 million from federal money, 1.5 for the acquisition of the building, which includes $350,000 worth of owner-supplied improvements.
For Guam's News Network, Chris Barnett reports.
Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.